All right, review number one. What you had to do with this first question, they wanted the distance from B to C. And I don't know if you remember, this is module 3. You look at B and you look at C, and I'm going to ask you a question. Which coordinates are different? The first one or the second one? Faz. Right, so we're going to focus our attention on -2 and 3. Now, if you needed to kind of make a little coordinate plane and actually jot out the points and connect the dots, that makes it visual for you, and that's fine. But the way we taught it in Mod 3 is look for the coordinate that's different, and then are the signs the same or are they the opposite? Tyler. And what do we do if it's opposite? What is 2 plus 3? You add their absolute values. The 2 plus 3 is 5. So I'm going to make a little note here. Opposite / add. And the answer is 5. B. Okay? All right, now with number 2, I got a question. How many of you did number 2 as a TRF? Goes back to Mod 1. How many of you just knew it? That's okay, too. I'm going to show it to you with TRF. If you got it wrong, do the TRF. Box A is going to be representing my top, and box B is going to be my bottom. I take my given ratio, 1 to 5, A to B, and that goes here. This is all the way back from Mod 1. And then I got box A that has 200 grams of cereal. Does that go on the top or does that go on the bottom? And how do you know? Jack?
The top.
How do you know?
Because that's the 1 and the 1 to 5 ratio.
Okay, or in my template, I've designated A as being my top. Go get top drawer. They're going to be random, okay? So now I got everything set up, and I've got to look and see what my constant is. Multiply by what factor? And if you do 5 times 200, you will get 1,000, and our answer is C. All right, number 3. I think it's fairly new. Can you raise your hand if you got number 3 right? Okay, and I'm just going to write down the answer and we'll move on. Now, if for some reason I glance over something and you got it wrong, make a little note because I will go over it with you if there's time at the end of class or anytime you want to go to extra help, I'll go over it with you. But if a majority of you getting it right, there's 50 questions. I don't know if I'm going to have time to get through all 50 questions. I'm going to try, but some of them I might just glance over and give you the answer and move on. Okay. How'd this go? Let me do a poll on this also. Raise your hand if you got this one right. All right, there's enough of you that don't have their hands up. It makes sense for me to do it. It's perimeter, which is the distance around the two-dimensional shape. The way I do it is I count the sides, or count the units for each side. That's 2. 1. That's 3. This is 2. This is 2. This is 2. This is 3. And what's this big long side? 5. Add up all of the numbers and just be careful because they're all single-digit numbers and you don't want to say, oh, I got this, and then make a careless math error. But if you add everything correctly, it's D, 20. Okay? Just got to add carefully, especially if you counted the sides correctly. Make sure you don't make a careless error. Definitely going over number 5 because I knew when I was walking around, kids didn't know what to do with this. This also goes back to Module 1 on percents. Did anybody do it using a part-to-whole ratio? Remember we did that? Part-to-whole?
I think I did.
Some of you could do it in your head. I realize that. Luke, what'd you do?
I just did, in my head, I did, like, I took 100 of that 250.
Yeah.
I did 40 of that, and then I took the other 100, I did 40 of that, and then I know that 2/5 is the same thing as 40%, so I did, 40 plus 40 plus 20 equals.
It's an interesting way of doing it. It'll work.
I just,
What'd you do?
I know that
Listen to each other.
2.5 is 250, so I did 40 times 2.5.
In essence, you did do a part-to-whole ratio, though. You did. Okay? Let me set it up for you.
I did 250 times 0.4.
Okay. Set it up this way, especially if you got it wrong. P stands for part, W stands for whole. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to call on you, so get ready, raise your hand. This 250 students represents the part at Nessequake or the whole? Vivian. The whole. You may get top drawer. So I'm going to set that up here. There's my 250 for whole. What am I trying to find? Geneve. The part. I'm going to leave that blank or I'll put a little box here. Guys. Equals. And now who remembers back in Mod 1 when you have a percent, you have an entire ratio. And I'll give you a little clue here. We want to look at our row for plain pizza. Geneve. Right, I'm going to look at plain, and percent means per 100. So it's 40 per 100. Geneve, you may go get. Now, at this point, what makes this even more difficult, there's another layer of difficulty to this. And I know Jack was able to figure out, not everybody can, that if you take this 100 and you multiply it by a factor of 2.5, you'll get the value for the top. The other way that I taught you to do it, who remembers? If you can remember how to do it, I'll let you pick out a drawer also. There was a way that I told you, another strategy. I would be impressed if you can remember what to do.
I don't think this is it, but I changed the 40% into 0.4 and then I multiplied it by 250 and I got 100.
You could do it that way.
Top drawer. Okay.
But what was the other way? Zoe, do you remember? Well,
Multiply the top to the bottom on both sides.
but unfortunately, that gets me in the same spot. It's still a times a 2.5 there. There was one other way I showed you. Sort of. Didn't teach it that way. Not supposed to do it that way, but that would work. It's two words. And the first word starts with an S, and the second word starts with a D. SD, two words. Scale it down. You got it. Scale it down. So what we can do is, look, 100 can't go into 250 evenly. You want to make it, listen, you want to make it into a fraction where it will go into evenly. So give me a number.
5.
If you do 5, you've actually scaled it down to what's called the value of the ratio, which is 2/5. And you can do that. It's another number that goes into 100 evenly.
Need 5.
20 would work. So I could scale this down. To get this down to 20, I'd have to divide that by 5, and you get 8/20ths, and that would work. 50, you can't do it, no, because 50 can't go into 40.
Oh, right.
Okay? You could scale it down to value of ratio, 2/5. You could scale it down to 20ths. You could scale it down to 25ths, which is what I'm going to do. That's the way I'm going to show it. So if I scale this down to an equivalent fraction over 25, listen, what does the top become? Come on, you can do this. 100 divided by what gets me 25? Let's start with that.
4.
Okay. So then 40 divided by 4 gets you. Now I can do it. Ready? Everybody look. 25 times what gets me 250? Times 10. 10 times 10. Everybody out loud, and that's our answer, D, 100. It is a multi-stepped question. Okay, and I know a lot of kids had trouble with that. Number 6. How many of you saw number 6 and immediately knew that this is an LCM question?
I just multiplied 4 times 5.
You could do it that way. Okay. in essence, what you're trying to do is find the LCM, the lowest common multiple or least common multiple of a 4 and a 5. So the way I'm going to just demonstrate it, count by 4s. 4, what comes next? Then I'm actually going to stop at 20 because you'll see that's where you're going to wind up matching. Count by 5s. That's really what LCM is. It's the lowest number that both 5 and 4 can go into. So if you did it that way, you got on the 20th day, which is D. All right? You could, but that won't always get you the LCM. That's the only thing with that. It'll get you a multiple, but it may not be the lowest. But you can with this because it'll work, but it won't always work. Okay? Give you a for instance. 6 and 18. What's the LCM? It's 18. You didn't multiply 6 times 18. If you had done that, you would have gotten a multiple. But it's not the lowest. So just be careful with that. I think number 7, well, raise your hand. If you got number 7 right, raise your hand. Yeah, okay, so we got that. The understanding of is move the decimal over 2 places. And you get A. Okay? Number 8's a great question. What I would do, since they're always asking about faces, vertices, and edges, is let's get a count of that. And I'll be honest with you, I probably should have spent more time on this in Module 5 on how to actually count faces, vertices, and edges when it's on paper like this. So the way I'm gonna teach it to you now. Faces. That one you kind of gotta see, but it's a 4-sided shape, 2-dimensional. So do you remember what to do, or how I told you what the formula was, or you just gotta kind of visualize it and count it by looking at it. But I'm going to show you how you can count vertices and edges a little bit more systematically.
The sides of the base plus 2.
Right. So the size of the base is 4 plus 2, so we have 6 faces. Now with edges, if you don't remember the formula, on your paper, as you count it, bold it or color it in, I guess. There's 2, 3, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but not everybody knows that. 9, 10, 11, and 12. So if you have trouble knowing that formula, just bold the stroke or count it that way, and you got 12 edges. And then, what I should have probably taught you, because I assumed that you can do this on your own, but another strategy to do vertices is you circle the vertices. And I'll even do it in a different color so you can see it. Count it out with me. There's 1.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
8 vertices. Now we have the information to figure out what the answer to the question is. It says for A, I like to do process of elimination. The number of vertices and faces are equal. That's obviously not right. The ratio of edges to faces is 2 to 1. A lot of you crossed that out because you saw 2 and 1 and automatically assume, oh, there's not 2 edges and there's not 1 face. But what makes this tricky is it's the ratio of. So if I do edges, oh, that's 12, and faces is 6. Guess what? 12 to 6 is the ratio 2 to 1. And just to take it a step further to prove that it's not C and D, there are exactly 6 vertices. There isn't. There's 8. Got to get rid of it. All the faces are congruent. Some of you came up and asked what's congruent. Congruent means same size and shape. Only a cube has congruent faces for all 6. So if this one didn't make sense to you, then go back and eliminate the ones that it can't be. It's just a little strategy to help you to get to the right answer. Answer is B. Number 9 is a TRF again. Minutes to kilometers is my template. I'm going to take the ratio first. 5 to 1. equals, and then it's 55 minutes. Minutes is top. And then once hopefully you get to that point, you could see it that my constant is what? Times 11. So 1 times 11 gets you B. Railroad tracks, to make it simple, hopefully. Opposite of divide by 17. Luke. Cancel, cancel. And then 5 times 17 is going to be 85D. I think most of you got number 11 right, but if you plot that point, you get the... Let's move on with that one. That one, when it comes to coordinates... I know.
Oh,
I know.
the wrong one. For 11.
Oh, wait, we got to do 12. Guys, can we get back on track, please? Good. This also should be routine for you. It's length times width times height. So for 12, you should have gotten B. And again, if for whatever reason it's just not resonating with you and you need me to go over it again, see me during either, well, if there's time left over, see me at the end. Otherwise, any extra help any morning. Okay, let's move on. Definitely got to spend time with 13 because it was a problematic area back in Mod 2. What should be your strategy? Or what could be your strategy? Ben. I agree. That's the way to do it. Go get it. There's other ways you can do it. There's definitely other ways you can do it. But a lot of these fractions are in what I call your fraction families. We had a sprint on it back in Mod 2 where you should really know them by heart. So all of these can either be in your fraction family or reduced to a fraction that's in your fraction family. You should know by heart that 8.5 is 8.5. 3/9 is the same as 1/3. So you should know that's 8.3 repeating. 3/4 is in your fraction family. You should know that's 8.75. And 16/20 reduces to what fraction? Cody. Which is point what? 8.8. And so therefore now 8.8 is your greatest day. Okay? Luke.
I spent out at 20, and I knew that 1/3, or like the 9, was just like less than all the others, so I
You could do it that way. There's other ways to do it, but if you're stuck and you forget what to do, decimals is the way to go. Okay, and then you'll see later on in this packet, there's mix and match where some are percents and some are fractions and some are decimals, and you got to convert it all to the same thing. Preferably, decimals is the way to go. With number 14, it helps to make a little mini coordinate plane. And I'm going to take my -3, +5, and say, oh, well, -3, +5 would be about there. So you get kind of like a little visual reference of what I got to do. And then you got to know your x and y. Reflect over the x. So I got to come this way. And in that quadrant, values are always what? Hunt. Always negative. Quadrant, what number is a quadrant? Remember your quadrant number? Oh, third, correct. It's all right. You recovered. Go get it. So the answer is B. Oh, I'm sorry. A. All right, Luke, here's your question of the day.
Oh, I got this right. This was easy. I don't know.
I got it.
But the reason why I'm going to bring it up is because sometimes it does help to get the answer in your head and work backwards. So you say to yourself, okay, if you get stuck, get the answer. what would the sale price be if the sale, or what would the original price have to be? If the sale price is 15 and it's $5 off. Andrew, a lot of you realize it was. Oh, so then which equation, if I substitute in my answer 20, would make the equation true? So if I take my 20, there's one way to do it. That's not going to work. 20 plus 5 is not 15. It's got to go. 5 times 20 is obviously not 15. That's got to go. And 20 divided by 5 is 4, so that's got to go. Or,
So I told you I was substituting yesterday, and that's
Yeah.
what you were doing.
yeah,
So that's what I thought, not like, 'cause you already really knew the answer in your head.
right.
Like,
So once you have that answer in your head, you could substitute it in to see which one will make it true. The other way to do it is to use, take your break, we'll continue. All right, continuing on with 15. If you know the answer is 20 in your head, then the other way to do it is to solve using railroad tracks. So if you get, let's just use B as an example since that happens to be our answer. Once you track it out, if you add your 5 to both sides like you're supposed to get this to cancel, you'll get P equals 20. And so that's the other reason why it's B. Number 16, you have to kind of get it into your head. When something is at least 40 miles or greater, at least means that it can equal 40 as well. Can it be greater? Can it be less? So you're looking for the inequality that shows greater than or equal to 40, which is C. 16 is C. That's just kind of a matter of memorizing and remembering what's what with that. "17, I need you to vote. How many of you got it right? Okay, it's railroad tracks. In order to get n by itself, you got to divide both sides by 5, and that's the reason why it's C. Because it says in order to solve it, it's railroad tracks. Get up. A lot of times with word problems, you have to decide by reading it. Sometimes you have to read it more than once. Sometimes it also helps to draw pictures whenever you can to get a visual. But you've got to decide what operation you need in order to get the answer. And there's 4 choices, obviously. You have to either add, subtract, multiply, or divide. How many of you saw this and read this and said, I have to multiply? 18 of mine. How many said you have to multiply? How many said divide? How many said subtract? 18. Stop a minute, because 18. Look at it again.
It's 2 steps.
yeah, it is.
How many of you realize that you had to multiply?
Well, you could, but that's not the only way that you could do it.
Yeah, because
I did a different way.
I divided.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
I divided 7.8 by 2, and then I added that to 7.8.
Say it again.
I divided
7.8. Yeah.
by 2
Why divide by 2?
because it's 0.5 fraction.
Okay. I didn't see it that way, but okay. All right. Gotcha. Then what? Then what?
Then I added those 2 together.
Could you get?
The quotient.
It's so funny because when I see this, this is why I need to talk to you guys, because I see this as one way.
Could you get 3.90 if you split it in half?
Yeah.
Get 3.90, get 7.80, and you
You
get.
get 11.70.
All I did was $7.80.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Can I ask you this question? What if I told you it was $7.80 per pound, and you bought 2 pounds?
That's
times by 2? What if I told you it was $7.08 per pound and there was 3 pounds?
Times 3.
So why can't you do 7.8 times 1.5?
You can, but
You can, but you
no,
could do
it's
it
just
differently.
yeah. You
I'm not telling you the way that you did it is wrong. I'm just telling you if you're trying to do it in as little steps as possible, it's 7.8 times 1.5. And again, I'm not trying to pigeonhole into one way of doing something, because if you could develop multiple strategies, that's our goal. But if you do 7.8 times 1.5, that will get you the answer reasonably quickly. Yeah.
Also, when you look at it, obviously, $6.30 can't be less.
Yep. You know it's got to be greater than $7.80. We know that right away.
Then half of it has got to be greater than like $2. So B is really the only reason.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great strategy. That is a great strategy because you can automatically eliminate A and D because it's got to be greater than 780. Anyway, paralysis by analysis. We don't want to get too crazy, but if you do your whatever way that you did it, or 7.8 times 1.5, you will get the correct answer, which is B. Yes, you may. Number 19. You're looking for the inequality which is greater than or equal to, write this down because it's a closed circle, -3, but less than, not equal to, the whole number 5. And so, greater than or equal to -3, x being the number in the middle, it's greater than -3 but less than 5, will get you C. Now I'm curious about 20, because this one, I kid you not, 4 kids that got this right last year. So let's see if we did better. Raise your hand if you got letter C, or not letter C. Raise your hand if you got number 20 right. Hi. Scantrons. Just put it on my desk. Thank you. Again, for number 20, how many of you got it right? Let me do this with you, okay? Mod 2. How many of something in something or made from something is division? It's asking how many, write this down please, especially if you got it wrong, how many 3/4 are in 5.5? That's what the question's asking in words. How do you set it up as a division expression? We spent a lot of time on it, but it's still problematic for you guys. How do I set that up as a division expression? All right, Jack, tell us. And again, don't do any keep, change, flip, or anything. Just give it to me as a straight division problem.
I did 22 divided by 30.
What do you got?
22 divided by 30.
Why did you do 22 divided by 3?
Because 5 and 1/2 as
Okay, don't do that yet. Just give it to me from here. I want to make it as a straight division expression.
Oh, I did too.
Viv,
I just want I was
say it again. Yes, it's not 3/4 divided by 5.5. It's, when you say how many of something is in something, it's this second number, 5.5, being divided up into portions that are 3/4 in size. If you can get to this, then it's keep, change, flip. I'll finish it up. 5.5 as an improper fraction, because we got to take care of that. Come on, some of you guys that haven't responded yet, you know how to do 5.5 as an improper fraction. I know you know it. Dylan, 11 over 2 is correct. Okay. Change division to what? Correct. And do what with 3/4? Reciprocal. Turn it upside down. Can you cross-reduce anywhere?
Yes.
Absolutely. Do it whenever you can. It makes it easier.
2 and 4.
Becomes what, John? And? And 2. Now we're right back to what Troy was saying. You got 22/3. Can't leave it like that, and it's not one of the choices anyway, so you got to change it back into a mixed number again. It's another way of looking at it, but you're right. So what's our final answer? D, 7 1/3. Go ahead, explain.
All I did was change 5 1/2 to 22/4, and then
Yep.
3 into 22, that I separated them.
That's the other way, if you think about it, I taught you to do that, is if you can get a common denominator, then all you got to do is figure out the division of the numerators. We did do that as a strategy, so it's good that you called upon that. That's good.
I did it wrong, but I got the right answer.
How many, have you already gotten?
Yeah.
Yes, so hold on.
Ask me to go get yours. Well, if I said no, I didn't get it. I would have got it. Yeah.
Anyway, that one in particular, when you get your second packet, not today, but tomorrow, when you hit number 20, I think it matches up. It should match up. It should correspond almost exactly. If not, it's pretty close. Look back and see how we did that, because division word problems always throws kids for a loop every year. All right, 21. 5 feet longer. That's plus 5. Oops, come on, fit in there. And twice the width. And if width is W, that expression, just twice the width, is 2W. And then you got to put it together. 2W plus 5. Quick recap on properties. 22A is what property? Hannah. Close. What about addition? Something with addition. When you can change the order around and still get the same answer, what property is that? Not distributive. Letter A, what property is it? Any order, same answer. Cat. Of. You got it. Go get it. So that's community of addition. And I want you to write that in. And the reason why is because on this particular question, even though they're asking distributive, when you get to review books 2 and 3, if we get to 3, I don't even know if we're going to get to it. We'll see. They may ask for 22, what's the commutative property? So let's just do a quick review of our properties. This is commutative of addition. Write it down so you have it down in note form now. Letter B is a tricky one because it is a property, but it's not covered in 6th grade. See, commutative of addition and multiplication, we covered in 6th grade. It was brief, but we covered it. We did not cover B, but it is a property. Do you remember code?
The one that starts with an A.
Yes, it is. It is the associative property. You may get. Did you get it? You did, okay. All right, the answer is going to be C, but let's go on to D. What's D? Tree, I haven't heard from you today. What's D? Come on, you know that. 16 times 1 equals 16. It stays the same thing. I have stayed the same thing. I have not changed my...
No, you gave it to me.
Not quite.
You said the first letter. Shut up, Dad.
Hey, make nice. Do you remember that one, bud? Who remembers that one? All right, Mr. Z. That is the identity property of 1. Write it down. If you didn't have your hand up, it's probably because you didn't know it. So now I want you to know it because it might come back up on a future question. What makes distributive is you take the number outside the parentheses, and you multiply it by each number within the parentheses. So 8 is 8, and then 7 plus 5 is the same as multiplying 8 times 7 plus 8 times 5. See?
Yeah.
23. Raise your hand if you got it right.
Yeah.
Okay, just gotta be careful with your pound dots. I'm not gonna spend time on it here, but I will with part 2. It's 49. C. Reciprocal. 8. Oh, you did?
There were two really easy questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So, yeah, I'll go through it quickly. Should be B. That's 0.3. Repeating. But before I do that, I got some additional ones. For 24, what's the decimal equivalent for A? Alex,
0.2.
go get 0.2. Letter C. I want to do the decimal equivalents for the wrong choices. I want to just do a little brief check. Christina, 0.5 is correct. Go get Christina. And 10/40ths after you reduce it. 10/40ths after you reduce it. No. Now change it to a decimal. 1/4.
Quarter.
Oh. Yeah. Quarter.
Which is? Which is? Point what?
0.25.
Yeah, 0.25.
Yeah.
All right, last one on this page. Greatest common factor of 12 and 48. There it is again. Now, you might be able to do this in your head. You could always go to factor trees. I'll show it to you with factor trees. But what's the greatest number that goes into both 12 and 48? And remember, it can be one of the original numbers. It's not. It's not 4.
Because 4 goes in the.
Andrew, let's not make fun of any people's answers, okay?
You're just saying.
Foz. It's 12. Let me show you the strategy using factor trees so you have it. Especially if you got it wrong, so watch. Hannah, I'm going to do it with you, okay? Hannah, give me two numbers, multiply together, make 12. Great. Which one's prime? Break down my 4. All right, now let's do 48. Two numbers for 48. Bang, bang, bang. 8 times tables. All right, we'll do 12 and 4. You got it. 8 and 6 would have also worked, but we'll do 12 and 4. Break down 12. Break down 4. Break down 4 again. Okay, here we go. Let's do the process. It does take a little bit longer, but it'll get you to the right answer. Give me a circled number you see in both trees. Okay, watch what you do. Who remembers? After I cross it out in each tree, how many times does it get listed? Say it. Okay, Hannah, give me another one you see in both trees. Cross it out, and list it only once. What else? Anything else? Multiply it together, and what do you get? 3 times 2 times 2. Okay? Does that help? Let's see. Reciprocal of 8, the one that I think is going to be an easy 2 points, but oftentimes it's not. James? What'd you get? What letter? D, 1/8. That is correct. Because 8 is 8 over 1 as is, and then you reciprocal just means flip it upside down. So D.
I got D, and because I got it wrong.
So I'll fix it later. Okay? What I found with 26 is a lot of kids will put A. Because they just think that they got to take the 8 and put a 1 underneath it. It's 2 steps. You got to put the 1 underneath it, and then you got to flip it upside down.
I got this right, but isn't, like, what is it? Never mind.
I need you guys to stop. Okay, we're going to substitute the values for n and y, and then evaluate the expression. So n is 7 minus 5. 42 minus 5. Get you 37. B. All right, here comes division again. What do you do first? Go ahead, Ben. Great. 5 1/3, improper, bud. Keep it division. Don't do keep, change, flip again. What about the other one, Ben? Okay, now what? Keep going. Not yet. Yes, be careful with that. We can't cross reduce until we do this step first. Go ahead. What's the expression I say?
No. Ratchet.
Keep, change, flip. Keep, change, and flip. And what works out really, really well about with this is that if you cross reduce, it really works out so nicely.
3 and 3.
Becomes and 8 and 16, John.
No, 8 becomes 2. Wait. Hold on. 1. Right, because 8 is 8.
See, I almost bit it.
I just did.
Okay, greatest to least, this one, as long as you read it carefully and do it as greatest to least, which is furthest to the right on a number line, all the way to the furthest left, what do you get? Oh, give me an answer.
I got it wrong, guys.
Come on, do it now. You can do it. Which number is furthest to the right on a number line?
See?
Correct.
Yes, correct.
All the way to -5. All right, number 30. I really want to try to get this done, and then that'll be productive time. So we're 3/5 done. 30 out of 50. See how I reduced that into a ratio?
Good job.
Math is everywhere. Thank you for lying. I think you're okay with 30. How many of you got it right? You're going to round up your 4.02 to 4, and then the reasonable answer is going to be B16. And then 31, again, fraction families, you just got to know that 2/3 is repeating as a 0.6 repeating. 32 I want to spend time on. There's other ways to do it. How did you do it? Just curious.
I just made it all out of 100.
Okay, you can make it all out of 100. And then just compare your numerators. How many changes to all decimals? Let's rattle it off real quick. 2/5, go.
2/5.
Only Marcus. Go, Marcus.
2/5, 0.40.
Okay, 9/20. This is a tricky one. The way you do that, just to show it to you here, is you're multiplying by a factor of 5, and you get 45 hundredths or 0.45. 35% obviously is. Okay, everything, hard work's done because these are all now for B, C, and D, the same numbers. So 2/5 is 0.4, 0.35, 0.45. And if you do that and continue doing that with everything, always go back and read it again. I think I told you to highlight this or underline it. It's already underlined for you, but make note it's least to greatest. Correct answer is what, Marcus?
D.
Correct. 33 is a tough question because there's a lot of layers to it.
No, the answer's D for that.
I said D.
Oh, I thought you said D.
What do you got to do first? Assuming, again, there's different ways to do it, but what was the strategy for somebody that got it right? Tell me what you did to get the answer. Well, let me see a show of hands. How many of you got it right?
I got it right.
All right, we definitely need to go over it.
I picked the wrong answer.
They got it right.
It's a hard question because there's a lot of different phases to this. Phil, talk us through the process.
I divided 4.8 by 6.
Okay. That's what I would do. I would start by getting what's called the unit rate, which is the cost for one, and we do that by division. So the bottled water, which I'm going to do as BW, 6 into $4.80. And it goes in evenly, which is nice. What do you get, Phil? Okay, 80 cents is the cost for one. Okay, bottled water's done. Ready, Phil? Iced tea. Divided by, okay, same process. Get the cost for one. 6 into 7, Phil. Oh, by the way, raise the rock. I'm going to need it. 6 into 7. 6 into 12. Terminates 1.2 or $1.20. All right, now what? Keep going, Phil. There's 3 phases to this. Okay, great. There's 3 of water. So now I got to do what operation? Great. Which I can, if I want to, just do 0.8 times 3. 0.80 and 0.8, same thing. And you get what? Move the decimal once. And that's $2.40 for 3 bottles that are 80 cents each. Go ahead. 5 bottles of iced tea at $1.20, which you can do 1.2. 5 times 2 is? 5 times 1 plus 1. And 6.0 is really $6. Still not there yet, but we're close. And then you add your $6 to $2.40, and you get $8.40. Hard question. That's like a state assessment question. It's hard. A lot of layers to it. Go ahead, Phil. You earned it. Yes. I will tell you flat out yes.
I don't take 6.
I know. Yeah, the final, and if I tell you this, I don't want you to go into relaxation mode either, but the finals, only difference that makes finals a little bit more difficult is it spans more material. So, you know, you got to remember back to what you did first quarter. But by and large, the questions themselves are less difficult than the state assessments.
Wait, is this like going to be like the exact, not the exact, but like the most style?
Yeah, it's the same. It's so similar. It's yes. Yes. Okay, 34 threw some kids for a little bit of confusion, and I can see why. Because I forget who it was. A student brought up the idea that a naval ship cruising on the ocean surface can be construed as being slightly above sea level, depending on where you are in the ship. I don't know if you see that or not. I don't want to make something that should be easy more complicated. But if you're in the ship The ship itself is on the ocean surface, but if you're controlling the ship, usually the captain's helm is considerably above the surface of the ocean.
Not talking about the ship, talking about the ship.
See, but there's two ways. I'm just saying, you're right. You are right. The answer is D. But some of your peers called into question of where you are, the person it's a little bit confusing. Because the ship itself, are you determining, you're right, you're seeing it one way, but some of the other kids are seeing it a different way. So I might change it next year and reword it, because I could do it as you're right, I could do it as a sailboat, or very simply make the butterfly fly higher, okay? Because it's the butterfly at 10 feet that's close to where the captain might be standing on the ship. That's all I'm saying. But the answer is D.
Wait, isn't the on the ship be going in the shark swimming?
Well, that came into question too. But for all intents and purposes, whenever you see anything about a ship on the water, that is sea level. That's 0 on a number line. Okay? But I might change it for next year so there's not as much confusion. I'm just saying. 35 you should get. That should be a layup question for you, because when you find the absolute value of -7, they're always positive. 7, 2, 5, and then you just got to add 9 and take away 5, and you get 4. B.
I got that wrong because I thought it said no.
So be careful with that one.
I still did this.
Okay, 36. We're going to use distributive property. 2 times x is, raise your hand please, 2 times x is, Genevieve, and 2 times 1, Genevieve. Equivalent expression is C, 2x minus 2. This one you should also get. Make a little mini coordinate plane, if it helps you. And make believe you're going to plot the dots to get an idea so you can kind of get a visual. And you'll see after you do A, you really don't need to go any further because the answer is A. All right, bonus questions for this one. What quadrant would B be in? B. What quadrant? James. Not quadrant 2. Soph? Marcus?
3.
Yep, here's your quadrants. 1, 2, 3. Go get. And there's 4. Ready? What would C be in? Phil. Y-axis. It wouldn't be in any quadrant. You may go get. And what about D? Sorry, he's going to give it away to somebody. Luke. That would be quadrant 1. Go get.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Luke hasn't got one yet, so.
Yeah, Luke never gets anything.
No, he just gets a $25 Visa gift card. All right, here we go. 38. Holy cow, this is a 1 hour blog.
Yeah.
Who's really going to go home and listen to me for another hour tonight? I got news for you. I can't even listen to myself for another hour tonight. You haven't needed to, right? It's all right.
Yeah, I feel like I'm good. I have to go to the next quick car.
38.
Oh no.
All right, let me finish this up quickly, guys. Guys, let me finish up. 38, let me ask you, what's the value of the ratio? The chart. What's the value of the ratio? Because the value of the ratio a lot of times is going to get you the answer. Marcus.
Oh, wait, please. 1 to 1. 15 to 1.
15 to 1. Put it above here. Put down, write this down, everybody. Put down 15 to 1. Okay, and the way we got that is if you divide everything by 3, you want to get the value of one machine, which is 15 wires, and that's your B.
Interesting. I just did 105 minus 90.
What'd you do?
Or I did 105 minus 90.
It worked, I guess. It's fine. But really, honestly, the best way to do it is to get to the value of the ratio. 39 is D. We just did it. That's your rectangular prism. This is not the same question that appears on yours, okay? The question's a little different, so I'm just going to give it to you. This is your 40 on yours, okay? Correct answer on yours, because it's different from this one. This is Mr. P's copy. And we switched this question, but the correct answer is B. What is the ratio? Go back to that question. What is the ratio of the full-size cars to compact cars before you reduce it or simplify it?
Oh, I got it.
Hunter.
12 to 6.
12 to 6, which gets simplified as 2 to 1. That's why it's B. Okay, then 41, we're back on track again. Okay, so what you got to do with this one, I do want to show this to you. This entire length here, this X, is what two sides added together. Because all the verticals have to add up. Right, it's this side, which is 5, and this side, which is 10, and that's 15. Now, you could kind of cheat with this question because there's no other choice where X is given as 15. But if you take it and carry it through to its end, this 3 plus this 6 will get you 9, and that's why it's C. How many of you got that right? Okay.
Mr. Rossi, if you don't know the 9, you know the above, too. That's the question that was different on that.
That's true. You do have to carry it all the way through because it could be none of the above if you don't do that other side.
Oh, you had a question.
42. There's that question again. How many 1/3? How many 1/3 in 96? How do you change that into a division expression? Kurt? Yep, it's C. These are the questions. Those word problems to division are going to be the ones that I'm going to worry about the most, because it was problematic last year as well. Okay, 43. I'm just going to read off the answers and a quick little thing here because we're out of time. The least variability is A. The least, because the chances of textbooks in a locker, it could be in the range of 1 to 4, definitely no more than 4, and everything else is greater than 4. So there's more variability in everything else. 44. They all have the same base. That's B. 45, you take your 88 and divide it by 4. And the measurement of each side is D, 22. 46, how many of you got it right? That's a hard question. It's A. A. Again, I'll go over it. I'll go over it if there's time tomorrow. You can come next show. 47 is D. 15 times 4 will get you 60.
47?
Yes, sir. 48 is also D, as in David.
I got that right.
Okay, I'll fix it. I kind of want to spend time on some of these, but we're out of time. 49, how many of you got it right? 49. Okay, you want to find for 49, you want the least, or the most amount of, it's the weakest. It's the weakest drink. So it's the most amount of water with 1 scoop. So it's going to be B. And then 50, 51, and 52 are all D.
Oh, God, I got 51. I got 15 seconds. Yeah, me too, I got 50. No, yeah, 51 is big. Yeah, 51 is big.
51?
Yeah. No, not really.
51 is D as in David.
And it's 1 hour.